I would agree with that. But man, would have been cool to have a class, a semester in high school on people skills. It would have been cool. It would have been something I would have remembered. So, Sunday school. I also believe that Sunday school is our opportunity to train men before they go out. We don't send men to seminary and to have a formal education in the sense where there's no spirit involved. It's all book knowledge, but we need to use Sunday school as a tool to educate, to train men, and that will always be my goal in Sunday school. So that's why this is called a course. Another aspect of Sunday school should be memory scriptures, memorizing our Bible, knowing our Bible, having memory scriptures embedded into our mind and in our heart. Proverbs says, son, write these commandments upon your heart, on the tablet of your heart, in your brain, in your heart. It will preserve you from going in the wrong direction. And I think that we expect far too less of disciples, Christians in our generation to memorize Scripture. And so that's going to be part of the culture of our church as well. And I'm kind of talking to you like you've never been here this morning, but I don't know, I feel formal. John 3:16 and 17. If we could have Cassidy give us John 3:16 and 17. Very good, very good. Gigi, John 3:16 and 17. Excellent. How old are you? You're 9. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right, Dad, John 3:16 and 17. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love the scripture that he didn't come to condemn. He didn't come to judge this time, basically. He's coming the next time to judge. First time, he didn't come to judge. There is some judgment involved because he's drawing a line on what salvation is, but basically he's saying how to not be judged, eternal condemnation. So the first time he didn't come to judge, the second time that he will. That's encouraging, actually. You know, people feel bad. Oh, I don't want to go to church because I'm going to feel judged. Well, that same chapter talks about that you're already condemned by living in the darkness. Like you're self-condemned, right? Jesus came to be light, not darkness. We run from the light because we don't want our deeds to be exposed. So all of John 3:16 is in context there. And then what other thing's really cool about John chapter 3 is that Jesus is explaining salvation to a religious guy. And he's like, how do you not know these things? You're religious. You study the Bible. You've missed the whole Old Testament that I'm coming to do this. And but that religious guy was open, and he asked for it. He asked to meet with Jesus. So the context of John chapter 3 is really cool, okay? And that is also what I want us to always do when we study our Bible, when we memorize Scripture. Context. Before, after. What does it mean? Who's he speaking to? Why is he speaking to this person? How is he speaking to this person? It makes a big difference in understanding your Bible and comprehending it, okay? Let's go to Isaac, John 3:16 and 17. Whatever you got, brother. but have everlasting life. Okay, very good. Then that next one is, he didn't come to condemn the world, but that the world might be saved through him. For God did not send the Son of the world to condemn the world, but that the world might be saved through him, okay? Through salvation, all right? Let's see here. Okay, that's it. People skills. Okay, so, sound men, yeah, hold me accountable. We're done at 10:15 today. Just cut off my mic. Okay, cut it off, because we're running too much into the service. We're gonna have lots of visitors today, lots of things going on. So we've got to get through all this by 10:15. We will cut it off, have coffee break, and get ready for church at 10:30. This is our pilot scripture. I have become. The reason that I chose these three words, I have become, is because Paul is learning. He's learning. He's learning how to relate to people that are not like him. Okay, if you were to go to a pioneer in Iraq, Afghanistan, somewhere there, that culture's totally, totally different, right? So we would have to learn about seeing through their eyes how they view Jesus, their religion, what they grew up in, right? You can't just say, hey, you guys are wrong. Well, okay. I have to learn to see through their eyes. So people skills is something that is learned. I really want to break the mentality that some people got it, they're charismatic, and some aren't. Oh, he's just extroverted and he's just really charismatic, but I am shy and not. That would be like saying that somebody was just born learning to play the guitar. You know what I've learned about musically inclined people, perhaps, or what you would think is that talent and that gift is maybe they grew up around hearing music. Maybe they've seen it. Maybe they love it. You know, there's a lot of factors involved. It's not just, hey, he's got it and he doesn't. Same with people skills. You may grow up with parents that were abusive and you have a hard time understanding love. That can affect people skills. And we have a whole class on that. But basically what I'm saying is if you want to learn people skills, you can. If you want to work on this, you can, okay? Last week, just a quick review. Love this thought. I personally love this thought. I have never sat down and contemplated the difference between self-awareness and self-consciousness, personally. I guess if you would ask me, I could have kind of guessed, but as I sat down and I thought about it, this really helped me understand why people act the way they do, and they're self-conscious. Insecurities, not knowing who they are. Okay, my wife brought up last week about teenagers trying to figure out their identity. Trying to fit in with groups because they don't know who they are completely yet. They're figuring that out. They're deciding who they are and who they want to be. So what's the difference between self-awareness and self-consciousness? Anybody want to take a stab? Yes, Allison. Outside in. Is affecting that person. Perfect. Okay. That's so well said. Self-conscious, right? I want to project something or don't want to project something because it's about me. Self-awareness, I want to project something with that person in mind. So it would empathy. Self-awareness would be empathy. Self-consciousness would be filtering it through yourself. Anybody want to add anything to that, or something you thought about this week about that? It came to your mind. You had a thought. It's funny. Churches have moods, right? Like last week, it was like buzzing. Like this week, it's like it's wild. It really is. It's wild. Yes, James.
themselves? Are they going to be adding to the team? Are they going to be a team player? Are they going to help with what the mission is or what we're trying to accomplish?
Okay, very good. Yeah, so you're looking through the perspective of hiring. What kind of people do we want on the team? Are they going to care about other people? And I think the military in general has created the culture of looking out for everybody else. You jump on the grenade for your friends. You're always concerned about their welfare. Hey, bro, we need to count on you to be here because my life depends on it. And that's a culture because it's life and death. And sometimes with people skills, we don't think it's life or death, but it could be life or death to a church, couldn't it? I mean, I'll read it to you later, but Pastor Greg Mitchell, he was, I don't know, he's teaching on this. It was a serious men's class or whatever. But he said one of the number one factors of why a baby church, a pioneer church, does not grow, life or death, depends on people skills. Can he attract people to him? Do people want to be around him? Do they want to follow him? So this is life or death, maybe for our marriage, life or death maybe for a job. I don't know, life or death. Okay, life or live under a bridge. Oh, or life or death of a marriage, we could say that, right? So there's a lot of those factors involved with life or death. Anybody want anything self-aware, self-conscious? Okay? Nope. How do we learn etiquette? Because that's kind of where we left off. Had a list of, I think it was almost 40 general etiquette rules, okay? Elbows on the table, napkin in the lap, all those rules. How do we learn? Yes. Okay. Okay. Yep. Okay, it's good. Okay, so it brings up so what Khalif is saying is, can etiquette change depending on the culture? I think that would be the proper question, right? So in Brazil, they eat pizza with a fork and knife. No matter what, you would never pick it up. Also, in Brazil, you never ever eat any sandwich without paper around it. Whether it's a hamburger or a cheeseburger or a Subway or whatever. I was very early on in Brazil. I went to this massive food court in the mall just to grab something to eat. And I got Subway back when I ate Subway, and I was sitting there. Picture just a big open, tables everywhere. The restaurant's all around, and I'm sitting at the table and I'm eating. You ever had that feeling people are staring at you? Well, you know why? Because they were. I was eating my Subway with my hand like an American. That's what we do. Wash our hand, we eat, right? And they're all like, oh, look at that heathen eating with his hands on the bread. And so we have to be aware of certain social customs, okay? In Argentina, you eat empanadas with your hands, but they don't eat pizza with their hands. There's different rules there. But to say that, okay, these are the concrete rules no matter what, no, but if you're going to get invited to somebody that perhaps has money, they invite you to a nice restaurant, it would be good to know how to behave so that you don't embarrass yourself and embarrass those that brought you. Because I am conscious that this is important to them. Because to wealthy people, eating out is very important, and those rules are very important. They train the royal family, in England, they train their kids. This is how you treat adults. This is how you sit down. This is where you do. When somebody comes to the table, you stand up. It's showing respect. It is being self-aware. My behavior, okay, affects other people. Okay? And it is gross when people are slurping their spaghetti. It's just gross. Let me give you another example. In Brazil, okay, whenever you have a country with less money or whatever, right, there's less waste. Because things are scarce, right? So you go to a buffet. There's lots of these buffets. They're by weight. Don't think Golden Corral. Think a little bit more healthy, but they're buffets nonetheless. And you can eat all you can eat. So I sit down with the disciples, and in America, when you go after you get your first plate, when you go back up, you get a new plate. Right? That is an American tradition. That is a rule. In Brazil, they would never think of that because they were like, well, no, that would be more dishes for the people. I want to be conscious of them. So I taught the disciples in the church, I said, no, I don't want to see your nasty leftover food, scraps, and sauce and crap while I'm getting my fresh food. And all of a sudden, the lights went on. Yeah, that's true. I'm bringing up a nasty plate to a clean buffet, and people don't want to see my nastiness. So get a plate. And that took a long time to teach them. Now, I didn't go to Brazil to make Americans. I went to Brazil to make Christians and disciples. But there are just some traditions that that's just gross. That's just gross. There's certain things that are just gross, but that's an example of how culture might be a little bit different. Okay, their hand over here. Yes, Bernice. Good. They changed the name. It's not home economics anymore. It is called. Say that. Right. What does that mean? Okay, so books. There we go, books. I have 2 books in my Kindle. I don't have them hard copy on training young men, the beginning stages of etiquette, how to treat a woman, opening the door, the chivalry, things like that, teaching kids how to communicate with adults. Okay, introducing, saying hello, shaking their hands, all kinds of things. I think you start very early with your kids on etiquette. You practice at home. The habits that they learn at home will be the habits they carry with them. So practice at home. Yes? Correct. Mm-hmm. Very good. I love it. When we did a legacy class when I was in Miami, and I set up a whole spaghetti spread dinner, and we all sat down and did it. And they never forgot. It was like the only class they ever remember. I feel so awesome. Anyway, now I was sitting. This is a true story. I was sitting at a nice restaurant when I was working at Coca-Cola as a outside sales rep, and we would have what's called blitz. It's kind of like an impact team, but for sales. All the salesmen would go to one city and blitz that city and help them with sales. That night, the Coca-Cola took us to dinner, a very nice dinner. The vice president of sales was there from headquarters, and he sat down. I was sitting here. I had a friend sitting here, vice president there. It was a rectangle table, other people. And right next to me was one of my coworkers, and he was shoveling the food fast. This true story. The vice president of sales looked at him. He says, "You will never get promoted eating like that." And it was this bad silence. He just didn't care about anybody's feelings at that moment. Right? And it was like that gulp. Like now, and everybody's like self-conscious now of eating. But I always remember that. I mean, he's like, dude, that is disgusting how you're eating. Okay, so if anything, awareness, if anything, if you want to learn etiquette, get a book, learn. I believe that my wife found videos of some lady that does it wrong eating, and then there's a red X, and then does it right, and there's a green check mark on a bunch of different things. Okay? I don't care. Learn. Anyway, it's important. Okay, we ready? A person's name is deeply tied to their identity and self-worth. Remembering someone's name demonstrates respect, appreciation, and recognition. It makes people feel valued and important. So what we're going to do is we're going to stick the knife in quick. Okay? Then we're gonna heal you up, because I'm going to guess, just this is a guess, that 90% of you have said this. 90%. That's a safe bet for me, because if you're like one that hasn't, you get it? Okay, anyway, I'm bad with names. The reason I said we're going to stick the knife in, okay, feel free to bail me out and agree with me a little bit when I'm going to say what I'm going to say, because it's very harsh. You're not bad with names, you're lazy. That's the knife part, right? This is because we love each other and uncomfortable conversations have to happen. You don't remember somebody's name because you don't really care. Okay? So, this is crude. This is kind of dumb. This is just kind of obvious. Like, hey, I've got a job opportunity for you that pays $1 million. My name is Bubba Smith. I mean, you're going to write down the name, because that has value. It's $1 million of value, right? So based on the value that you see is based on whether you're going to remember them or not, right? So it's not that we're bad with names. It's that we're not putting the effort in to remember the name because it's not important, okay? All I want to do, okay, is I guess I want to bring awareness to the fact that I could remember names if I wanted to. That's all. I mean, if that's the only objective today of this class, that would be good. And we'll talk about techniques in a moment. This goes with listening. So he says their name, and we keep talking, and it goes in one ear and out the other. But if from this moment forward, I'm going to remember names, that means when I'm approaching someone new, I'm like, oh man, I'm already thinking I'm going to have to remember their name. What I'm saying is we're preconditioned to say, you know what, I'm going to start to learn people's names. They say that Bill Clinton remembered every name of every person he's ever met. I don't know if that's true. Somebody at least noticed that that's what he does as a politician for selfish motives. He tapped into that. Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, is an entire chapter on remembering names because of that statement that I put up there. That name is somebody that's very valued, okay? So, why are you bad with names? Anybody want to add anything else to that? Why? I'm going to come up with a few excuses. Yes, Khalif. Right. I can't ask it. I hate that. I'm like, oh, I should know it. If I ask them, it's going to be horrible. So we got to come out with like some phrases. Listen, I am so sorry. I heard your name. I didn't get whatever because I want to remember, and that's important. Maybe sincerity would be good at that point. I pastored in Norfolk, Virginia. I pastored. I don't think it was half black church, but a high percentage of black church. And the women came in with names that I was not used to. I mean, yeah, I don't want to offend at this point. There's no purpose in doing that. But they weren't just Julie, Susie, right? They were Shamika, whatever. But here's the other problem. The black ladies tend to come with different hair by week. So at one time it's all, and then the next time it's back or different, and I didn't recognize them, and I was so embarrassed. I said, "Hey, thanks for coming. Is this your first time?" She's like, "No." She's like, dang, oh my gosh, it hurt. But it took effort to try to remember the names, okay? We're going to talk about technique in a minute. You have a thought? Okay, right. Right, right. And I think Tita, I'm being harsh with, I'm bad with names because you're lazy, is for shock factor. Because if you really think about it and we're really honest, we're not putting in the effort to remember. Okay, so that is the purpose this morning. It's not because I just want to be dumb just to be dumb and say stupid things. I really, when I look at my own life, if I don't remember somebody's name, it's because I don't really care about that person to a certain degree, okay? Alex and then Bernice. Most, some, 50. Okay, go ahead. That's interesting. Okay. Yeah. 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 Yeah, it's weird. You know, I did it at the gym to a couple people when we signed up to the gym. Xavier, I call him Xavier. He said Xavier. I don't know, Xavier. And he's the one that kind of took us in. Oh, I remembered his name. And he didn't remember my name. Next time I saw him, I said, "Hey, Xavier, how are you doing? How you doing?" He was like, "Hey, good to see you." He didn't remember my name. And Nestor is another guy there. He's a trainer there. He did the body fat count thing, whatever, and we're talking, and he was a Marine and all this. And I remembered his name. He doesn't remember my name at all. Not that they need to always remember every person in the gym's name, but wouldn't that be cool? I have in place, but I have not enforced it yet, okay? A team called First Impressions, and it's part of the Usher team. And I haven't put this, the skeleton is there, it's ready to go. We're gonna put meat, flesh, and bones on it eventually. But I think, okay, that the greeters should greet every single second-time visitor by their name and know their kids' names. I think that should be the culture of our church. I think we should remember the names, okay? How we do that, and we'll work that out. But wouldn't that be cool? I believe it was a woman named Tina that came for a hot second in our church. She came and she pulled me out after church one time, and she goes, "Everybody remembers my name," right? And they're nice, and they just remembered my name. And she told me this. She goes, "I called my mom. I think it was her mom, and I said, 'Mom, I found a church that actually notices you.'" And it was through the name. Another story. Pastor Campbell's brother visited the church in Davie, Florida. My good friend Brad Plyman, Pastor Plyman, was there. Older guy comes in, good old boy from Illinois. You would never know him from anybody. He introduced himself. Pastor Brad Plyman remembered his name, okay? He saw him again somewhere else, and he greeted him by name, and the guy goes, "What in the world? How do you remember my name?" And don't know if it was on the phone conversation or at that time, he goes, "Man, you remembered my name. What does 1,000 mean to you?" He's like, "I don't know what 1,000 means to me. Could mean a lot of things. What's 1,000 mean to you?" He's old boy, old school. What's 1,000 mean to you? And he left it at that. Well, he sent him a $1,000 check in the mail for the church. And he says, "Because you remembered my name." So in a world where most people are selfish and we're here and there, I mean, it can make a big difference. And okay, Bernice, you had something, and then.
I mean, I'm good with traditional names, but if I haven't seen or spoken to a person for a week or two, sometimes I'm like,
Yeah.
what's the name? What's the name? I have, so that's my.
Okay, we're gonna go over it. I got a solution, but that you gotta change. You gotta take the clock down off the wall, please. Yeah, just take that clock down. Thanks. I'm thinking I still have 30 minutes left. I'm like, time is going so slow right now. The clock stopped. I can't, and I time myself by my Sunday school. Sorry. Go ahead. Yes.
Sometimes I don't always remember their names if I don't think I'm ever going to see them again.
Okay. Good. Maybe I'm never going to see this person again, but it's really cool when you do see them, and they remember. Okay. I hate when people spell my name wrong. All right? Because I always grew up Sean, S-E-A-N. They would make fun of me. Anyway, it's important. So I'm always conscious of how people spell their name because that's very unique. There's Ashleys. Not every Ashley is A-S-H-L-E-Y. It's Ashley, L-E-I-G-H. That's unique to that person. They're not an Ashley with a Y. So if you just write their name however, right? I think Starbucks, I read the book Upward. I think it's called Upward. The founder of Starbucks, he goes, "Hey, we're in the people business and we just happen to serve coffee." So they started writing the names on the cups rather than calling a number, a name. Man, it goes on and on and on, okay? So because, for time, here we go. There's two things. Okay, I have an app. My app is not necessarily the app that you need to get, but this is so funny. I downloaded this app when I was in Brazil, and I pronounced it Revere. It's Revere. Anyway, in my brain at that time, it was that. Anyway, it's called Revere. And what it is, you add the name, you can write notes, where you met them, right? Then you can put certain people into groups. So I have a group called Visitors. So whenever a visitor comes, if Crystal comes this morning, she'll come in. I've already got her name in my mind. She comes, I got it. I prepped. If I go to one of our baby churches, I've already looked at all their names, and I pray for them. And I know them. So when I see them, "Hey Jamil, how are you, man? How's your son doing?" Because I remember I asked him a question. Then it can ask for reminders. So I meet Zach. "Hey Zach, how are you, man?" "Yeah, listen, I got this huge exam coming up in March, whatever." I'll put in there, "Hey, remind me to ask him in March about his exam," because I want to remember. So there are apps. There are a lot of name remembering apps. I had one years ago that would send me randomly names of people that I met in the past, and it would just bring it up in the forefront of my mind. Okay, I have not been 100% on this. I feel convicted, but I try to do it all the time. Okay, I'm memorizing all the open people. Right now, I'm trying to memorize all the names of the open people that I meet on outreach by name. So when they come, I'm going to say, oh, a guy named Artie. He lives right back here. I know his tattoos. I know how he looks. I know about some of the things about his life because I asked when I met him. So he comes in, I'm going to say, hey, Artie, man, so good to see you. One, because I care. Okay? Two, because you never know what that can do to somebody's destiny in their life. You have no idea. You ever felt lonely in a group? Of course. You ever feel like, but just knowing someone's name and talking to them and speaking by name. And don't be cheesy about it. You know, they say the person's name 3 times before you leave the conversation. And you remember that's a technique. And, hey, Zach, good to meet you. Zach? So, Zach, what's your kid's name? Zach? Zach. Like, that sounds so structured and impersonal. Yeah, say their name, sure. Or if it's a unique name, that is so unique. I've never heard that name before. You're the only one. Oh, yeah, right? And because their perspective, right? And I don't say, oh, man, you know what, whatever. Yeah, just be careful with people's names. Then you can also just write it down. You can just have a notebook and just write it down. Have a page of where the names are and write them down. Anybody else have any other ways that they remember names? I got another way, and I'll give you the example, and then I'll ask you, Joseph. So I met a guy in Brazil. We're in the steam room. It is what it is. In the steam room, and he's sitting there, and he's got like the most hairy back in the world you could ever imagine. It's like, whatever. And his name was Felipe. Philip. And for some reason, I just pictured a little guy flipping off his back. I don't know why. It's so weird. The weirder it is, sometimes the more you can remember. Every time I saw him, I said, hey, Felipe. I remember I was kind of laughing. I met you in the steam room, and that's your name or whatever. There's ways that you can remember people's name with maybe an action or association with something to help them. Okay, so there's ways to do it if you want to. Joseph? Mm-hmm. Okay, you're just semi-lazy. Right, yeah, good. That's awesome, Joseph. You're just half lazy, right? So, I remember faces, but I don't remember names. That's just an excuse. That's a cop-out. No, don't do that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. How you spell that name? That helps. Sure. Right. James? That's awesome. Yeah, and you know what? When you ask somebody how they are and you've been praying for them, you actually mean it. Hey, how are you? How's that situation going? Man, I've been praying for you. I want to see some results, man. I want to know if God has moved or not, or man, I care, because praying for somebody creates a link between you and them. Okay, yes. Right. Right. Yeah. Right. Well, because Peter does come to church. He sits behind him. Right, yeah. You cross that. Okay, is this just true confessions? This is, right? Oh, no. Right. So, as we stick in the knife, right, we got to figure out how to remember. Okay. We do have a a church app. Hey, when a visitor comes, if you've met somebody, we write that name down. I'm always going through that, remembering things like that. So there was another hand back there. No, there was one more hand. Yes, Alex. Yes. Slim Jim. Very good. That's very good. Very good. Okay. Only one question this week, and I thought we'd be creative today. This is how we're going to be creative. How do I encourage my husband to do things around the house? Okay, so, all right, guys, listen. What's that? Oh, we're almost. We have 3 minutes. Thank you. I want to be creative today. Instead of me answering the question, okay, I want the brotherhood, the men club, to answer this question for whatever wife put that up, okay? Now, just so you know, for the lady that did put that up, she had two, I think it was the same lady, unless it's total coincidence. She listed the things that he doesn't do. I ain't gonna do that publicly. I mean, dude, I would lose my best friend, in the church. And so, men, how would you answer that question, how you want your wife to encourage you? Joseph. Okay, don't beat me up, just ask. Okay. She would say, I ask and he doesn't do it. Is asking over and over and over and over and over and over and over going to work? Okay, why? Because in a woman's brain, that's not logical. Okay, take out the trash. Take out the one we don't like to be told what to do because we're egomaniacs. So how are you going to encourage him? We got 1 minute. Help the sister out. Mike. Okay. Okay. All right. Mimi? Would you? Ask politely. Be nice. Yes, keep coming. Alex. No, I know. Could you do this? Okay. Last one, and we're going to cut off the mic.
Just because I deal with Robert, I've learned sometimes, man, if I need it done now, I need to say it in a way like, hey, Rob, would you take out the trash now, like within the next 5 minutes, or whatever the case may be. This is a weird example because I have blah, blah, blah. If I just say, can you take out the trash, he will on his timing. But if you don't give him a time, then it doesn't click.
Yeah. You asked me to do it. I'm going to get to it. Church, 10:30. God bless you.